This is 2023's Die Hard. Warning, spoilers ahead. We open to Kevin Hart as he gets ready to go on a talk show to promote his new movie, and Danny gives him a nice little pep talk before going on. Kevin asks him if he thinks that he's good in the movie, and of course, Danny says whatever he can to make him feel like America's little funny man. Kevin isn't too fond of that title, but it seems to be how the TV host sees him as well. As he promotes yet another film he's doing with The Rock, everyone laughs when he says that his character could be seen as a hero too. I can't lie, every time I see one of Kevin's movies, I never see him as the hero. He really is the comedic sidekick. Ride Along, Jumanji, Central Intelligence, he's the funny man. Sucks being typecast unless that's what you're going for. Kevin definitely does though. Kevin tries to point out that he's been trying to be the lead star in an action movie, but sadly he's been typecast. See? He tries to compare himself to Idris Elba, but that ends up backfiring on him when the anchors name quite a few short action stars. When they get him back to talking about the new movie, he simply tells them that it's garbage, and he wants to know why he can't be an action star. After he's told that he's apparently afraid of woodland creatures, he loses his grip and has a little action star meltdown. Days later, Danny calls Kevin to tell him that he somehow ended up landing one final interview with one of the biggest action movie stars in the world, and Kevin immediately gets ready to go. Kevin shows up at Claude's party, and he finds out that he wants to offer him the leading role in his next great gritty action film. Kevin can't believe it, but he graciously agrees to attend an action star training program. For some reason, I thought this was all going to be one big joke that the studio was playing on him, but he's super serious. I'm also curious if there's an action star training camp that the big actors had to go through, not just workouts. Kevin tries to tell Claude that he doesn't need that training program, so Claude decides to test him. He takes him outside and tells him to jump to the next door roof. Kevin almost works up the courage to do it, but when he reaches the edge, he bails and ends up screaming for help. The next day, Kevin drives to the middle of nowhere to attend the action star school Claude wants him to do. When Kevin goes inside, he finds Diego and Juan arguing with Ron, and Kevin thinks that training has already started. Kevin puts his foot down, and he ends up getting knocked out when he gets a bat to the face. Ron has to wake him up with smelling salts, and he takes him on the grand tour of his training facility. Apparently, Ron trained Chuck Norris, and I find it hard to see John Travolta training Chuck Norris. There's gotta be a joke there about Chuck Norris being the only one who can train Chuck Norris, but Ron immediately takes Kevin's phone from him, and he tells him that he'll stay in his room until he graduates the training program. After seeing the state of the room, Kevin assumes that this is all just to toughen him up. The next day, training starts, and Kevin immediately fails with being called an action star name. After that, his next test is to run into a burning building to save a stranger. Ron pulls out a dummy named Kevin, and he says that he's going to be the victim. Kevin can't help but be offended by dummy Kevin when he finds out that Ron even recorded his lines from one of Kevin's movies on it. Now that the dummy's in the building, Ron tells him not to worry if he catches fire, because he'll run inside to put him out if that's the case. That wouldn't really comfort me at all. Ron seems like the least attentive teacher I've ever had. I have to give it to Kevin. He ran right into the building like it wasn't going to faze him. But of course, that's not how it goes. Kevin stumbles around the building until he finds dummy Kevin, but then he notices that Jordan King has shown up for training as well. Better yet, Ron isn't paying any attention to Kevin's stunt, and the fire's getting bigger. Finally, Kevin runs out of the building with the dummy, and he lays down in front of Ron. Ron casually grabs the fire extinguisher and puts him out before taking Jordan on a tour. When he shows her to the room she'll be sharing with Kevin, he tells her that one of the rules is no fraternizing, and she tells him that that won't be a problem. Kevin obviously takes offense to that. I feel like just about anyone would to some extent. Ron's attitude towards Jordan is completely opposite than before, and Kevin definitely notices it. In fact, he wants to know why he got hit in the head with a metal bat on his first day, but Jordan got the nice side of things. Finally, Kevin takes a second to look at Jordan, and he realizes who she is now. It turns out that she just quit the role she was known for because she was offered the lead in an action movie as well. Afterwards, the two of them go out to meet Ron for more training, and he has them playing against each other in their scenario. When they start the scene, Kevin tries to come on to her, but when she chops him in the throat, he has trouble composing himself. In fact, he has trouble talking at all. With one final move, Jordan takes Kevin down, and he can't believe what just happened. The first things that I can think of that she's been in are Game of Thrones and Fast and Furious. She's not that athletic in either of them. That came out of nowhere. Kevin tells Ron that he can't possibly seduce a jiu-jitsu master like Jordan, so Ron gives him a new scenario where he has to take her out with a retractable dagger instead. Kevin comes at her, and after a little bit of back and forth, he ends up stabbing her in the arm. Kevin can't believe what happened, and Ron tries to tell him that he said practical instead of retractable. Kevin offers to run Ron's room to get the first aid kit, but Ron gets extremely defensive about going into his office. He sends Kevin to his room instead, and when Kevin doesn't listen, he threatens to kill him if he goes into the office. The next day, Kevin brings Jordan a Slim Jim as a peace offering, and he tells Jordan that Ron is into some dark stuff. She just assumes that Kevin doesn't want to admit that he was wrong, and she tells him that if he can't pull off Ron's school, he should just go home right away. Kevin decides that he wants to be an action star more than that, and he decides to stay. Ron's next lesson definitely wasn't expected. Making love on a green screen? I feel like the green screen is just a little added hassle here. It definitely makes for a funnier movie, though. I want to see this fake movie after watching this. It turns out that Claude really is filming all of this with hidden cameras. This is all fake. I mean, it's real. This is the big movie, but I don't really think Kevin's getting his big action part, though. After the green screen disaster, Kevin and Jordan are locked in their room, and now Jordan starts to agree that something seems off. Kevin decides that he's going to break into Ron's office, but they don't know that Ron is in the secret trailer outside that Claude is using as headquarters. Suddenly, he spots them on the camera, and he rushes out of the trailer. Meanwhile, Kevin and Jordan make it into the office, and they find a secret container. Suddenly, they hear Ron coming back inside, and they hide. Ron doesn't notice that the secret drawer is empty, but he's furious. When he goes into their room, he gives them one last warning to stay out of the office, and he leaves them. Kevin isn't the smoothest, though. He bashes the container open and puts the necklace he finds inside his pocket. Never keep the evidence on you. When Kevin and Jordan go to training in the morning, Ron brings alumni Josh Hart in to talk with Kevin, and Kevin tries to tell them that Ron killed someone and took their necklace. Just then, Ron comes back over and tells Josh that he can't find his favorite necklace that he had custom made with the initials RBG for his favorite Supreme Court Justice, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Josh promises him that it'll show back up soon, though. Next, they do firearm stunts, and Josh plays the corrupt cop. Ron warns them that the guns are loaded, and Kevin wants a confirmation that they're loaded with blanks. Ron eventually gives a half-hearted yes, but that's not good enough for him. When they go to wardrobe, Kevin gets ready to leave because he thinks that Ron is trying to kill him. When Kevin gets outside, he finds that his car is gone. Not just gone, run off a little cliff in the woods. They're really going for an immersive experience here. It's too late for Kevin. When Kevin hears Ron calling for him, he starts wandering the woods, but he ends up getting into an intense confrontation with a squirrel. Eventually, he comes to a trailer and he meets Waylon. Waylon isn't the most welcoming host, and Kevin makes it clear that he's scared. He tells him that he just wants to use his phone, and Waylon gives him 2 minutes. Kevin decides to call Danny to tell him about Ron trying to kill him, but Danny is more focused on the fact that he got him a role in an animated animal sequel. Kevin hates that this is what his career has come to, and he starts crying. Suddenly, there's a crash outside, and Kevin rushes out to help Waylon, who is stuck under his truck. It's crushing Waylon, and Kevin musters up his inner hero to lift the truck off of him. Once Waylon is clear, Kevin drops the truck, and Waylon calls him a real-life Rambo. Well, if that doesn't motivate you to finish Ron's school, I don't know what would. I've got a good feeling that the truck was rigged by Claude, but we'll see. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. How deep does this go? Is Danny part of it? Kevin rides Waylon's motorcycle back to Ron's school, but he hears Jordan screaming for help inside. When he rushes in, he watches Josh shoot Jordan, but it turns out to be blanks. Ron and Josh start messing around with the rest of the blanks until they shoot at Kevin, but suddenly, it turns out that one of Ron's bullets turns out to be real. Kevin doesn't appreciate Ron's attitude towards him, but Josh calls a truce between everyone. When Josh goes to leave, he gives Kevin some words of advice, and he tells him that he's only got a few more days to go. Once Josh leaves, Ron takes a moment to apologize for the live round, and the two of them bond for a moment. That is until a creepy van cuts Josh off. Suddenly, the van opens up, and a guy with an RPG shoots Josh's car. See, this is next-level immersion. Even Ron admits to Jordan that this isn't in the script. When Kevin asks what they're talking about, Jordan's whole voice changes, and she admits everything up until now has been scripted by Claude. Of course, Kevin's biggest worry is her British accent, and that would definitely throw anyone for a loop. Jordan shows him where the hidden cameras are, and Kevin can't believe that he's been brought into this. Outside, Juan, Diego, and Ortiz open fire on the warehouse, and Kevin goes to ask Ron what happened. It turns out that Ron really did kill someone named Rodriguez over a bad drug deal, and he begs Claude to call the cops. Meanwhile, Diego gives him 2 minutes to go out there and face him, but Ron breaks down. Kevin tries to give Ron a motivational speech, and he tells him that a true action hero would take responsibility for his actions. He gives Ron the necklace, and he tells him to face Diego like a true action hero. His speech is so beautiful that it actually works. Kevin and Jordan watch from the window, and it looks like it might actually work. This isn't that kind of action movie. Ron's dead, and they're coming in to get rid of any witnesses. This isn't the time for action heroes. This is the time to run like a coward. That's exactly what they do. The two of them hide behind cleaning supplies, and Kevin decides to play dead. Ortiz breaks into the room that they're hiding in, and he finds Kevin's supposedly dead body. Jordan isn't hiding, though. She fights Ortiz, and Kevin bites his leg. While Jordan fights Ortiz, Kevin goes for the gun, but he gets thrown against the wall. After another struggle, Kevin ends up bashing him in the head with a piece from the bathroom, and Jordan grabs the gun. They creep out front to find Diego waiting, but they forgot about Juan. After Jordan creates a distraction, Kevin unloads his whole clip and literally misses every single round. They rush into the prop room, and they try to set up the perfect ruse. They take Juan on a little scavenger hunt as they hide fake dummy Kevin in a car, and after Juan gets distracted by it, they get up close and attack him. Jordan gets him in an impressive hold, and after Ron kicks Kevin in the face, Jordan finishes him. Funnily enough, this is about what I'd expect Kevin to be like in a real-life action situation. He's not acting in this movie. This really is just Kevin being thrown into a real-life situation. They run into the woods, but when they come to a cliff, Kevin can't find the courage to try. Suddenly, Diego shows up and shoots Jordan. Kevin isn't afraid of woodland creatures, they're actually on his side. He literally gets a squirrel to help him. After remembering all of the motivational words Jordan told him before, he finds a way to throw Diego over the edge, and he leaps to the other side to help Jordan. He holds her in his arms, and he cries as he realizes that he's too late. Suddenly, Claude comes out from behind a tree and starts clapping. In fact, the whole team pops up. Ron, Waylon, Diego, everyone. Kevin goes to check on Jordan, and she smiles as she gets to her feet. 6 weeks later, the movie is shown to investors, and even Ron is moved by Kevin's performance. When it finishes, Claude gets up to see what they think. They think that it's the strangest movie they've ever seen, but they love how authentic it feels. Kevin did it! He's the leading man in his own action film, and that's something I never thought I'd hear. Kevin tries to give a serious speech, but at first, they think that everything he says is hilarious. Then, Kevin gives all the thanks to his supporting cast, and before you know it, the real action hero is invited to interview with the same anchors as before. Sassy the Squirrel! I didn't realize it had a name, otherwise I would have been using that this whole time. At least the right hero got recognized. Kevin watches the interview from home, and immediately shuts it off. Then, the credits roll. This is another Kevin Hart little guy comedy film, but we all love them. We can't act like we're really tired of watching Kevin Hart running around screaming. At least I'm not. Give it a shot. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more like this one. Comment what you think I should watch next, and I'll see you in the next video.